one thing I thought that I think you would enjoy adding just to this piece. So can we start at the very beginning one more time? Here, so let's fix your seat so it's comfortable for you. There you go. All right. And I think where you're using the pedal, you don't have to, but if you want, you can use the pedal. You can use the pedal there, okay? So what I want you to do is start, and I'll stop you. So go ahead and play, and then I'll stop you, and then we'll talk a little bit about it, okay? So let's do that part. So one thing that we can do to enhance, to make our piece, whatever we're playing, you can do this with so many different things. One thing we can do is we can use dynamic contrast. So dynamic contrast means we can start something really quiet, or we can start something really loud, and then we can go the opposite direction. So for example, if we start really quiet, really soft, we can go where we have a lot of room to go higher yet, to play even stronger. And this is a great piece. When you start high on the keyboard, you can play really, really softly. So can we start again from the very beginning? And I want you to try to play, let's say we're gonna play it at pianissimo. So that would be 2 Ps. You see piano and then piano next to each other. That would be really, really soft or extra soft. So let's start one more time. And I want you to imagine as you're playing that you're hearing this piece out in the distance. And as the notes, as you hear more and more notes, it's getting a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, okay? Let's try it. So you're starting really soft. A little bit more now, a little louder. A little louder now. Even more, really. Yes, good. And on that last note, you get here. Yeah, just let that sound ring. You do that again. You started really great. So start one more time at the top. So maybe you're really soft. Yeah, and a little bit more now. And even more. Last one big. Let that ring. Yeah, that's fantastic. You want to do that again? I'll let you do that without me coaching you. I think you've got it. Section, you changed a little bit, you brought it down, so that adds something interesting to the piece, right? And then you ended nice and strong as well. It's really, really good. So I want to work on a little bit of that, and also I want to work on you've got some nice passages that are legato, which is smooth and connected, right? But then you have the opposite, the opposite of legato is when it's short and disconnected or choppy or bouncy. So when you have the notes that have little dots underneath each one, when you play those really short and disconnected, which you're doing. But if we can stretch the distance between your legato, your nice and smooth, and your staccato, your short and brisk, then it'll add even more texture to your piece. So at the beginning, you're really smooth for the most part. You have a couple of staccato notes, but it's nice long phrases, and it's forte. Can we start that again? Nice and strong. And then, so on this next part, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and play. You're a little bit softer, right? So let's bring the dynamic down just a bit. And really, when you're playing those short notes, it's almost like you're touching these keys as if they're really hot, and you can't touch them for too long or you'll burn your fingers. That's the staccato that you want. So it's like touch it and then you're off. So it's almost like you're bouncing. Can you try that part? Are you able to start there, or you want to start from the beginning? Okay. So let's do that from the beginning so you can hear the contrast. So you start nice and forte and smooth and legato, and then you have that really fun. That's good. From the top. I'll just play all the way through. We just got done talking about legato and staccato, right? The difference between those two. And your legato is really nice. So what I want to do with that, I don't want to change any of that. You're playing very smoothly and that's really good. What I want you to be able to do is to think of this legato smooth playing as phrases, or you can think of them as sentences, right? So a sentence has a beginning and it has an end, right? So it has a starting point and it has an ending point. And depending on the sentence, you put all those together, you have paragraphs, and when you're reading through something or when you're listening to someone talk, it has its lower parts, it has its upper parts, its higher parts, right? And that's how we communicate. So in the same way, we can do that with our music. So have you ever listened to a violin or a cello play before? Yeah, violin play. When a violin plays, it's almost like a voice is singing because the notes are connected, right? And sometimes they're playing softly, and maybe they're playing piano, and then they up and up, and then they're playing louder, and then maybe they're going back down, and then eventually they end somewhere. So what I want to do is I want you to start one more time. Stay nice and smooth in the Gaia like you were, but let's give it a, let's start, I think you started about a mezzo forte, let's do that. So let's keep the same strength, and as you're playing, once we get into, I'm going to try and coach you, and once we get into maybe the fourth measure or so, we'll get a little bit softer. And that way we have room to go somewhere else. Does that make sense, what I'm saying there? Yeah, a little bit? All right, let's try it from the top. Let's start strong one more time from the top. A little softer. Even softer now. We're growing a little more. And even more, we're going to hit strong. Especially when you have moving notes and then you change those and we go to notes that are longer lasting. So you have those last two notes you play are half notes, right? We can follow through with those. So you can play and follow through. So we'll press down, but let the tone continue. And then the next one, can you start maybe, are you able to start on F down here? Yeah. So this is, we're soft here. So that way you have room to grow. Very good. A little more. Like a bell. Yes, that's good. And then when we get to the next page, let's start back soft again so that we have room to end. So let's start on the F one more time. Yeah. last beautiful piece. This is a really neat piece, and I think one of the things that makes this sound so good to our ears is the note that you play in the left hand. When you play it, you just hold that note down, right? And then you play some nice things on top, and then that changes just a little bit, and then you play some things on top. That really sets the tone. And those notes in the bottom, sometimes we call those notes, when we hold a note and we just kind of let it set the baseline tone, we call those pedal tones, because they can just last and they really set the tone for the piece. So you're doing a great job at bringing those out. Wonderful job at doing that. The only thing I want you to change is when you play each one, after you play each one, I want you to release the pedal really quick. We'll try it and we'll play around with it, and then go to the next one. What that'll do is when you release that pedal, it'll clear out all of the sound, and so the next pedal tone that you play will be really, really clear. Does that make sense, maybe, what I'm saying? So can we do the beginning? I'll stop you maybe after the first 4 or 5 measures, okay? So play just from the top there. Great, so you're clearing it, and I know it's tricky to coordinate that, right? If you're not used to moving your foot when you're playing, and your right hand is moving doing all the notes, it's tricky. So it'll take some practice. But let's try this. Can you play just the note in the left hand? Let's let your right hand take a break really quick. Do you think you could do that? So what's your very first note? And then, so let's play. What I want you to do is I want you to play the note. So play the note and then press the pedal right after you play the note. Let's try that. Good. And then now what you're going to do is you're going to release the pedal and play the next note and back down again. Good. So you'll try that one more time. Good. But make sure you play it nice and strong. Don't forget to give that first note a nice tone. So let it ring out. Yes, good. Can we add the right hand now? Let's try and see if we can bring the right hand part down. Yeah, remember that first note is a nice strong note, right? So that's the first thing. Even if you wait a little bit before your next note, which is your next note here. So you could even pause to give yourself a little bit of time to go. Try that. So take your time. Good. That's good. Now that's kind of tricky to do, isn't it, right? To be able to move your pedal differently than what you had before. It's easier just to hold it down, but can you hear the difference? Can you tell that when you release the pedal, it clears the sound, and you can hear all of those notes playing really nicely there. Yeah. All right, one other thing, and then I think we'll be done here. Can you do? You've got a lot of stuff on here. Can you start? Let's start from the beginning one more time. And what I want you to do is play the very first note. We want to hear that note nice and strong. And the reason is because once you play any note on the piano, what happens to the sound? It slowly decays, right? Slowly decays. So it's not like on a cello or on a violin. If you play a note on the violin, you're continuously playing that note, so it can grow. But on the piano, when we play a note, as soon as we play that note, the sound starts to just slowly go down. So we want this note to ring out a little bit longer, right? So that's why we want to get a nice, strong attack. And let's let the first one in your left hand be strong, and then the second one a little bit softer. Let's try that. That's something that is tricky, but you can keep working on that with the pedal. It'll come more naturally the more that you use the pedal, the more that you play around with it. And don't be afraid to take your time in between some of those notes. You play and then get into that. Does that make sense? Good job. Thank you. So I want to play around with to help you think about your dynamic contrast. And the reason we talk about dynamics so much, you might be like, why are we always talking about dynamics? Because dynamics allow us to really make a piece feel alive. It lets the music come to life, right? Rather than just the notes playing it. So you have a nice smooth legato, which is great. That means we can use that to play softer, we can play louder, and we can build phrases and sentences like I mentioned before, okay? So let's start again. Let's start from the top. And you're playing at about a medium level there, which is good. That's a great place to start because that means if you're medium, you have room, you can get a little bit louder, but also means you can get a little bit softer, right? You've got room to play with. All right, so the first couple of measures, we're gonna play at about a mezzo piano, medium softness, which is great. And then I want to see if we can get even softer on the next part, okay? You wanna try it? Let's try it. When you're holding out the half notes on the end of each phrase, we want to make sure that we hear those nice and clear, so we're ringing those. So can you start one more time from the very beginning? Yeah, good, go ahead. Good, very good. Let's make sure we hear all of those notes, right? Like I said, it's nice and smooth there. So don't be afraid to press each one. our dynamic down to give some change, right? Almost like a whisper. You can try that from that part there. Good. parts arpeggios like these, one thing that we can do to really free ourselves to express this as much as you want to in the right hand, to build phrases and all these things, is to work on the movement in our left hand. The more comfortable you are with that movement in the left hand, because that's the supporting part, that's going to support the whole piece, right? So once you feel really comfortable with that, then the rest you'll be able to play with all the dynamic contrasts and all sorts of different things. Does that make sense? Yeah. So can we do, are you able to do, I want to start at the beginning, and I want you to play just the left hand right now. Just those nice arpeggios. Yeah, let's do a couple of those. Dynamic level there, which is nice and smooth. So what I want you to do is, I want you to try to imagine that you've grabbed a doorknob and you're just kind of slowly turning that doorknob like that. So I had a teacher who called it the doorknob technique, and we kind of roll our hand just a little bit. And that way, what that's going to do is it's going to free up your hand so that you're not in just one position the whole time. So you can kind of move and stretch across the piano. You've got a great reach and you can get those notes no problem, but I want you to feel freer that you don't have to stay right on top of them, right? You can play one and then rotate like a doorknob to the other. Does that make sense? So let's do that first one. It starts on C there, right? So C, G, C. So what I want you to try to do is to your first note, then rotate. So instead of holding the position here, we might go back to it. Just the first two notes there. Good. Now we're going to start with the second one. So do just the first two again. Good. One more time. Good. Now, one way that you can practice this when you're at home and you're working on it, you can make it really, really slow. So you can slow it down. So you get used to that moment and then rotate to that one. So let's try that. It's really slowly. So C, G, and pause. Good. And then G, C. Yeah, one more time, just like that. Done that a few times, you can start to put that together, but still very slow, very slow. Good, great. especially in that second part where you're holding a note, right, and then you're kind of going back and forth like this. That's really good. Are you able to start somewhere in there? I know that's in the middle of the piece. Sometimes it's hard to start in the middle of the piece. If you could find somewhere, find whatever you can find there. Start playing, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Let's start. Let's see, here's the music here. How about the last page? So this is what I'm looking at here. Right on. Yeah, let's do that. Right where you hooked up an octave. Yep, that's good. Yes. With the octave that's higher here. Do you want to start right at the very beginning of that part there?
No, it's the sunset section.
The sunset, is that what it is?
We just get it.
Yeah, that's it. You're in the right place. Yeah, that's it. Good, very good. Yeah, and we do that one more time, a little bit slower. And what I want you to do is, with your hands, so I want you to come down a little, give yourself a little bit more room so that you can move your fingers there. So, yeah, try about right there. You do that again. Really nice, a very gentle technique, and that's really good. That's really, really good, and that's going to help you playing all these phrases, which is really nice. What I want to do is let's look at the very, very beginning where you have that forte section, and you have half notes and some whole notes as well. And what I want to do is I want to make that sound come out of the piano. So can you just start from the very, very beginning? We're strong here, we're forte. And when you get to these, I want the same strength. You gave this starting note an excellent strong forte. So when you do that, the listeners know, okay, something's happening, right? Something's big, you're making a statement. So don't lose that on the next two chords. Does that make sense what I'm saying there? Can you do that one more time? So start one more time. Nice, big, strong hit. Yes, that's good. And what you're doing is you're lifting, which is great. That's exactly what I was going to say. When you play those chords, boom, kind of follow through. So you push down and then push down and let those chords. One more time from the beginning. One more time. So we can hear each of those notes. So we're still kind of big and forte, big and strong here. One more time. You can start before that. Let's start at the second one, please. So let's start at the second time you play that. Play the first, in the very beginning, you play this note, and you do your chords, boom, boom, and then we do it again. lose those notes in the texture of all of that sound, right? You still want to play all of those notes out. That's really good. That's wonderful. I think the bell means we're out of time. Thank you for playing for us. Mysterious, and you're already well on your way to do that, which is great. So we have basically 3 sections in this piece. The first part and the last part are very similar, and when we have music like this, actually a lot of music is like this, we call this A, B, A. So A is the first part, B is a little bit different, and then A returns to form very much like the first part. Does that make sense? So on our A sections, we're mezzo forte, we have a little bit more power in those, which you're doing good. In our B section, I want us to change it a little bit. I want us to be a little softer and even more mysterious. And that's a great section to do it because in that section you go up high, right? You jump up an octave. Okay, so let's start the piece one more time, just like you did. It's nice and slow. You're taking your time with that. And then when we get to that middle part, I want us to go really soft when you jump up in the octave. So can we start from the beginning? Okay. Yeah, you can start from the very top if you like. First time your hands jump up, do you remember where that is? Do you know what your notes are there? Yeah? You start that? Good. So go ahead and press your pedal down again. And when you play those notes, I want to think of a bell. We talked about that. We used this analogy a little bit earlier, right? I want you to think of a bell that's in the distance, maybe in the fall, right? And you hear it all the way down. Let's try that. Nice You press it and you let it ring. That was beautiful. That was wonderful. Can you do that one more time? Good, keep going. Good. When we come back to this, now we're full body. We've come back into view, so we're a little bit stronger. That was great. Can you start one more time with the last of your up an octave there, right before you jump back down. So go ahead, clear the pillow really quick there. Good. Now you're ready. Now a little stronger. think that what we can do with this, so there's not a lot of that I want to change on this. You're playing this so nicely, and it looks like you're really enjoying playing that too. You really like this one? Yeah? Yeah? So what I want to do is, I think we can make it a little bit easier for you, especially in your left hand. So can we start from the beginning? Can you find your starting position there? Good, good. Now, what I want you to do with your left hand there, so you already did it right before I even said it. So we might not use all of our fingers all the time, but we want our hand to rest on the keyboard when we're playing, right? Makes it just a little bit easier. So can you try that? Can you start from the beginning? I want you to lift your wrist up just a little bit. Perfect. All right. Just start from the beginning one more time for me. right on top of it, which was wonderful. So on this next part, let's bring our dynamic down. Let's bring it down, let's say, to a piano. So I want to be a little bit softer. And when you play your first note, which is, what's your very first note on that part? C, good. So we'll play that, we'll give that a little bit of strength because we're going to hold it. And then the rest of the notes, I want you to play them just a little soft, almost like bells on the top. Can you try to do that? Good. Good, great. So we'll do that again. Let's start in each one of those. They're going up, the notes, right? So you start here. And then we start here. We go up a little bit more, right? And then we go up even more. So what I want you to do is each one we'll start soft so that way we have room to grow, right? So it's almost like these things are blooming. So let's see if we can envision them blooming when we're playing. So we start soft, we start to grow, and we grow a little bit more. Good. And a little bit more. A little stronger, good. A little bit more now. Good, keep going. Good, keep going. So what I want to do is, I had a piano teacher, and one of the first things he said to me when I was playing pieces that were very similar to what you're playing is you want to be able to lean into the piano and get the sound out of the piano, bring the sound out of the piano. But you want to be able to do that without putting too much strain on your wrists and on your hands, right? Yeah. So what we can do is we can press into the keys and then release. So this takes time, so don't feel bad if it's weird or you can't get it immediately, but it's something we can practice. And you've got a nice sense of rhythm, and this is a great piece to practice this on. So can you start from the very beginning, and I'll stop you after a couple of measures. So start from the very, very top of the piece, okay? Nice, strong forte. And when you play, you got your first two notes. When you play, what I want you to do is, when you play those, to press down and then kind of release. So you're pressing down, it's a fluid motion, so the wrist is here, so you kind of press down a little bit. So I want you to release instantly, almost as if the keys are hot when you touch them. Yes, that was good. Can you do that again? Good. And then what's the next one after that? Yeah, same thing with that one. Good. All right, so I'm gonna let you do that one more time. And a nice strong forte. Remember, follow through. Good. Keep going. So can we do the last phrase, and then boom, you start down here towards the very end. Yeah, but make sure you ring that out. Yeah, let that ring out. So you press into the keys and let that ring out. Good, one more time. Sense what I'm saying? Press to play into the keys and to follow through as you're playing through. And the idea is you want to avoid being stiff. Like naturally, when we want to get power out of the instrument, we stiffen up, we get really tight, and we just kind of press down. And that will only take you so far. It might get you a little bit, but eventually you will wear yourself out. And there's a whole lot more that could be said about that, but that's the first part, is you can press down into the piano and really get the sound out. So play around with that, even on some of your other pieces where you have a nice forte section. Try to make sure, ask yourself a question, am I tensing up, am I getting stiff because I want it to be louder? And if so, can I loosen up a little bit and just use the weight of your arm and press down into the keys, and you'll bring the sound out of the piano. Great job, thank you so much for playing. many different reasons, but there's one thing that stands out to me about this piece, and that when you're playing all of those moving arpeggios, those arpeggiated sections, the melody is in a very unique place. Sometimes we lose sight of the melody. Do you have any idea, when I say the melody, what am I talking about? What do you think?
Like that part?
Not quite, that's a good guess though. So the melody in any song that we play or we hear or we sing, the melody almost always is the most important part. It's the part that the person is singing, or the violin is playing, the solo line, right? So normally, if we can figure out what the melody is in a piece, we want to try and make that be a little bit more pronounced than the rest of it. Does that make sense? And in this piece, the melody in the first part is hidden in the left hand. Actually, the very first note of your left hand every time you play is the melody. Is that surprising?
Yes.
Does that sound kind of funny? Yeah. It is surprising, but it's one of the things that makes this piece really cool. So what I want you to do is I want to start from the very beginning one more time. Can you play it a little bit slower? I know you're playing it quick and it sounds great, but are you able to play it just a little bit slower? Can we try that? And what I want you to do is the very first note you play, I want you to, and this is a fun exercise, all right? So this is one of those things where I said, we take this piece, we're gonna take it apart, like we're taking apart an engine or something, and we're gonna kind of play around with the pieces and construct them, put it back together. So I want you to do something, and this might sound really silly or feel funny to do this, but it's okay. So I want you to play the first note really loud, and then I want you to try and play the rest of the notes really, really soft. Will you try that? Let's try it. Good. So that's an exaggeration, and that's exactly what we need. Can you do that one more time? Exaggerate. Play that first note really loud. Actually, let's do it without pedal. Let's take the pedal away for right now. Good. So the melody, if you notice, you have your, it's not nice deep bass like that's the melody of the piece. The rest of the song is just nice, fun things that we get to do. It's the accompaniment part. All right, so thank you for humoring me and exaggerating that. So you don't have to exaggerate it as much. We can bring the pedal back. But I want you to think now that you're thinking through this in a different way, think that that first note of each one is the most important note of everything else that you're playing. Can we try that from the beginning one more time? So that means the first note will just be a little bit louder, a little bit more pronounced. You want people to hear that note as the singing line, like a big bass is singing, as a powerful singer is going to sing this, or maybe a big cello is going to play those low notes there. Let's try it. We do that one more time from the top. Down into the key there, and then follow through. Let your hand come off of it. start to play, when you start to follow through with different things. Now, we don't always want that tone, right? Sometimes we want a different sort of a tone. But if we have these notes that you want a note to ring out, you can press down and play it and ring it out, and it'll let the tone, especially on a nice piano like this. So wonderful job. Thank you so much. was great. That was really, really good. Wow, that was a fantastic piece. There's almost nothing I want to change about that. That was so good. That was wonderful. Didn't he do a fantastic job?
He did. That was
really That's good. So I want you to play. We'll do maybe one or two things, okay? All right. So you've got really nice touch, and I don't want to change that. But maybe we can have some fun with some dynamics. Dynamics are always fun, right? When we play soft and loud, those are really good. So I think the easiest place is to start at the beginning, and you're starting really soft, right? Which is good. So can you do the beginning? Can you start it again for me? Yeah, your pedal there. What should we do? We started really soft. Should we get really loud, or should we gradually get louder? What do you think? You can get louder. That was good. And why don't we make it each time? Why don't we make it a little bit louder? Can you do that part again? And this time, get it a little bit stronger this time. Good, good. Good. And then when you go back to the next part, we can change the dynamic one more time. Why don't we go, now that you've gone pretty strong, why don't we go back soft again? And we can end it nice and soft like you did. last note. It's a great thing that I heard from many pianists, is that when you're performing, you don't have to rush it at all, but you did a great job, you didn't rush. So you can play that last note and hold it and let the sound go for as long as you need to, and then release. Can you do that one more time, that last part and then the last note?